Have you ever noticed how some old trucks still have a presence that no modern machine can match? It doesn't matter how many sensors, cameras, or digital screens today's trucks come with. There are things that technology just can't replace. Now picture this: the deep rumble of a V8 engine breaking the silence of an American highway at night, the smell of grease and diesel in the cabin, and that long hood stretching out in front like an extension of the trucker's soul. Ever wonder why some old school trucks are still treated like legends, even after decades? Today we're hitting the road on a time-traveling journey across the highways of the United States. You'll rediscover 10 giants of the road that made their mark in history and still put many modern trucks to shame. Whether it's for their raw durability power, iconic looks, or the soul they carried. Ready to floor it down this road of pure nostalgia and horsepower? Stick around, because the truck that sits at the top of this list is so legendary. There are fans out there willing to pay a fortune just to have one in their garage. Let's roll. White Freightliner. Born in the 1950s, the White Freightliner came from a powerful partnership between Freightliner Trucks and the White Motor Company, two American manufacturing icons. It was built during a time when trucks needed to be tough, simple, and built for battle. No electronics, no touchscreens, no computer systems to leave a driver stranded. Just you, the trucks, and the open road. This model was instantly recognizable for its cab-over-engine design, known back then as a flat nose. With the cab sitting right above the engine, it shortened the overall truck length, which helped meet highway regulations and made it easier to navigate tight urban areas or loading docks. Under the hood, a classic Detroit diesel inline 612 strong, pumping out about 230 horsepower and enough torque to pull full loads over steep grades without flinching. The sound was raw and real, a constant mechanical growl that screamed work ethic, not digital silence. It rode on heavy-duty leaf spring suspension with a dual rear axle that gave it excellent weight distribution. There were no luxuries here. It was a truck built to haul to work and to survive. In terms of looks, the White Freightliner was all business. Boxy frame metal front, round headlights, and a squared-off bumper. The cab was bare bones but roomy enough for days-long hauls. It smelled like greased diesel and road dust. And for the drivers who lived in it, that was the scent of freedom. These rigs were staples of long-haul trucking across America, running coast-to-coast nonstop. And even today, you'll still see some of them in classic truck shows working just fine with their original drivetrains. That's not just nostalgia. That's proof they were built to last. And here's where the comparison with today's trucks gets real. Modern rigs are more comfortable and high-tech, no doubt. But when a sensor fails, the truck stops. In a White Freightliner, all you needed was a wrench, some elbow grease, and a little roadside know-how. That's why even after 60-plus years, some drivers still choose the classic Freightliner over anything fresh off the line. It may not talk to satellites, but it sure speaks directly to the heart of any old-school trucker. Think that's impressive? Wait until you see what's coming next. International Harvester Loader. Introduced in 1962, the International Harvester Loader was designed with one clear mission: to be the go-to workhorse for just about any job. Urban delivery, rural farming, industrial use. Wherever there was weight to carry and ground to cover, the Loader was there. Built in the United States by the legendary International Harvester, this truck quickly won over farmers, small business owners, and municipal fleets across the country. So what made it so successful? Versatility and dependability. The Loader could be anything: a delivery truck, dump truck, fire engine, grain, hauler, even a school bus. It was like a Swiss Army knife on wheels. Always ready, always capable. Under the hood, you had the choice of gasoline or diesel engines. One of the most popular was the 345 CI in V8, around 5.6L, pushing about 180 horsepower and solid torque. It was the kind of power that could climb hills fully loaded without breaking a sweat. Depending on configuration, it had rear wheel or four-wheel drive, and its leaf spring suspension was built to take a beating on rough roads. Paved or not, visually the Lost-Star had charm. Round headlights, a bold front grille, and that sturdy utilitarian vibe that said, "I'm built to work." The cab is roomy, the dashboard practical, and the seats good enough to keep you comfortable on long days. Even now, it's not unusual to see loaders still working on farms or hauling firewood in small-town America. And it's not for lack of newer options. It's because no modern truck delivers this level of reliability with such simple maintenance. Compared to today's medium-duty trucks loaded with sensors, electronics, and dealer-only diagnostics, the Lodar was a dream. You could fix it yourself in the shade of a tree with just a few basic tools, and more than that. Modern trucks might be efficient, sure, but none adapt to multiple roles quite like the Lodar did. It truly was a utility truck in the purest sense. Still impressed, the next one takes presence and personality to a whole new level. Western Star 4900. The Western Star 4900, introduced in the 1970s, was built for a different kind of driver. If the white Freiheit was made for mass work, or the Western Star was for those who wanted strength with style. Built in the US by the White Motor Company, this truck was known for its custom builds and rugged charm. From the start, it gained a reputation as the truck you ordered, not picked off a lot. It was built for serious jobs, logging, mining, mountain hauling, or long-haul freight. And it could be tailored to do them all with excellence. Under the hood, the beastly Detroit diesel V8 14L strong, pumping out over 400 horsepower and torque that didn't ask permission. It just hauled. This truck was built to climb, pull, and keep moving no matter the terrain. It came with a manual transmission up to 18 gears and a reinforced suspension system that made it steady under extreme loads, dual rear axles, and heavy-duty everything. It wasn't built to be light, it was built to be unstoppable. Visually, it was commanding. Long hoods squared off cab-polished chrome everywhere, and tall exhaust stacks made sure people noticed. Inside, you had wood finishes, plush seating, and soundproofing that was way ahead of its time. And here's the kicker. No modern truck can recreate what it felt like to drive a 4900. Today's trucks are standardized, automated, and often soulless. They shift themselves, but the Western Star 4900 demanded focus, skill, and respect, and gave it back in spades. You can still find these classics at truck shows and demo fleets, and some even still running loads today, often with original engines still intact. Some people call it nostalgia. But when a machine's still working after 5 decades, that's not nostalgia. That's proof of greatness. And if you thought this truck was untouchable, wait until you see the one they called the Road Warrior. Diamond Rio. Built between the 1950s and 1970s, the Diamond Rio is one of the most underrated American trucks of all time. Born from the merger of Rio Motor Car Company and Diamond T, it was more than just tough, it was damn near indestructible. It earned the nickname, the tank of the highway, and rightly so. This truck could take a beating, carry monstrous loads, and keep going year after year without complaint. Even with zero frills maintenance, it just kept on rolling. Under the hood, you usually find a Cummins inline 6 up to 14L putting out over 350 horsepower and enough torque to make steep grades feel like nothing. Paired with a manual transmission and leaf spring suspension, this setup was easy to work on and incredibly durable. Visually, the Diamond Rio made a statement. Square front crane grille, reinforced bumper, and widely spaced headlights gave it a cuff military look. Even parked, it looked like it was ready to go to war. And when the engine rumbled to life, you could hear its deep growl from blocks away. It was used in all sorts of industries, hauling grain, timber, cement, heavy equipment. And here's the thing. Even today, few modern trucks can match the Diamond Rio's brute durability. Yes, newer trucks are faster, lighter, more comfortable, but they're also less forgiving. If the onboard computer fails, you're done. The Diamond Rio popped the hood, listen for the issue, grab a wrench, and fix it right there. That's why many old-school drivers still say, the new ones may look nice, but they'll never outlast a Diamond Rio. And they're not wrong, because not everything new is better. Stick around. The next truck has history, rarity, and more personality than most fleets today. Bro 361. Built from the 1950s through the 1970s, the Brockway 361 is without question one of the most overlooked legends in American trucking, handcrafted by the Brockway Motor Company in Cortland, New York. It wasn't just a truck, it was a rolling masterpiece. Brockways weren't mass-produced. They were built to order, tailored to the buyer's needs, and built to last. Many came with Cummins inline 6 engines up to 13 LL, delivering over 300 horsepower, and plenty of torque to pull heavy loads across rough terrain. With heavy-duty leaf springs and a reinforced steel chassis, the 361 had no fear of potholes, mud, or steep climbs. The manual gearbox was no joke. raw, direct, and made for drivers who knew their machine inside and out. Styling-wise, the 361 had character. A squared-off hood, bold front grille with thick bars and twin headlights made it instantly recognizable, even without flashy chrome. Inside the cab was modest but classy, wood trim, analog gauges, and that mechanical hum that told you everything was running right. These trucks were used for logging, hauling machinery, and heavy-duty urban work. But what truly made the Brockway special was its craftsmanship and rugged longevity. It wasn't uncommon for a 361 to run 1,000,000 miles without needing major work, something almost unheard of today. And that's exactly where modern trucks fall short. Today's rigs are designed around efficiency, ignitions, and planned obsolescence. Plastic components, sensors that shut down systems, software updates. The Brockway didn't need any of that. It was all steel, all muscle, and somehow the more you drove it, the better it got. That's why veteran drivers say, if I had to pick one truck to trust my life with on the road, I'd take a Brockway. Because even with all the luxuries of modern trucks, they still lack what this classic had in abundance: soul. And if you've made it this far, it's because you share the same passion for classic rigs that defined an entire era. So go ahead, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next legendary machine we bring back to life each week. Now hang tight. If you thought the Brockway was rare, the next one's a true icon of the old-school heavy-duty world. Autocar DC100. The Autocar DC100 doesn't ask permission to be on a list like this. It owns its place here. First built in the 1950s by the Autocar Company in the US, it quickly earned its reputation as the truck that wouldn't die. It wasn't the prettiest rig on the road. Some called it ugly, others called it intimidating. But no matter what you called it, one word defined it: reliable. The DC100 was made to go the distance. With a beefy steel frame, thick welds, and a drivetrain so simple, it ran like a mechanical clock. Under the hood, most had Cummins or Detroit diesel inline-six engines up to 14L, pushing 300 to 400 horsepower and massive torque. Built with manual transmissions, often with 10 or more gears, leaf spring suspension, and locking rear differentials, this was a no-nonsense workhorse meant for heavy loads and long days. The look, pure grit, tall front-end steel grille, inset headlights, and a bumper like a battering ram. You didn't just hear this truck coming. You felt it rumble through the ground. For decades, the DC100 was a favorite in steel transport, timber, chemical hauling, and even military applications. It wasn't luxurious, but it offered something modern trucks still haven't matched: total trust. Today's trucks roll off the line packed with electronics, sensors, and diagnostics that require a laptop to fix. If something goes wrong, tow it. The DC100, a wrench, a hammer, and a set of strong hands, could solve 90% of issues on the spot. It was simple, rugged, and built to rack up millions of miles without flinching. That's why even now it's celebrated by mechanics and drivers as a symbol of an era when trucks were built to last, not built to be replaced every 5 years. Think that's impressive? Wait till you meet the next truck, a true crowd favorite that still has fans around the world. Kenworth W900. When it comes to style, soul, and respect on the road, the Kenworth W900 rolls into the conversation with the engine already roaring. First introduced in 1961, this truck quickly became an instant icon of American highways. And to this day, it's still considered one of the most beloved rigs in trucking history. With its long hood, tall, vertical exhaust stacks, and bold, aggressive stance, the W900 wasn't just a truck. It was a statement. It represented a culture, a lifestyle, and the pride of being behind the wheel of something powerful and real. Under that massive hood, you'd often find Caterpillar Cummins or Detroit diesel engines, usually 15L, and inline-six configuration, putting out well over 500 horsepower, and the kind of torque that could move mountains, or at least hold them. Air suspension gave the W900 a surprisingly smooth ride for such a beast, and the 18-speed manual transmission made every shift a tactile experience, a connection between driver and machine that's hard to describe. Inside the sleeper cab was next level for its time. Wood grain finishes, analog gauges, a bed storage compartments. It was like a rolling apartment. The soundproofing alone made long hauls more bearable than ever. This truck was and still is used for all kinds of loads, dry freight, fuel-heavy machinery, oversized loads, and more. And here's the interesting part. Even the newer W900 models still try to preserve the spirit of the original. But no matter how hard they try, they just can't replicate the soul of the classic. And that's the key difference. Today's trucks may have lane assist automatic braking and office-style cabins. But the classic W900 gave you something else. Pride. You were just driving. You were commanding a machine that demanded respect. Plenty of modern trucks do everything for you, but in doing so, they take away the joy of actually driving. The old-school W900 demanded your attention, your skill, and your care. And in return, it gave you performance, loyalty, and a sense of freedom you can't download. And if this one's the king of highway style, the next truck, it's a cultural icon and the dream of many truckers even today. Peterbilt 359. To many drivers and enthusiasts, the Peterbilt 359 is simply the most beautiful truck ever built. And that's not hype, that's legacy. Launched in 1967, this model didn't just define a new chapter in American trucking. It became a cultural icon on wheels. It was the first Peterbilt to feature an aluminum chassis, lighter, stronger, and able to haul more. But what really turned heads was the signature long nose design. That bold, squared-off hood, the chrome grille, vertical stacks, and dual headlights. The 359 wasn't just built to work, it was built to be remembered. Performance. This truck didn't mess around. Most units came with Caterpillar or Cummins inline-six engines, 15L strong, producing around 450 horsepower, paired with 18-speed manual transmissions that gave drivers total control over every mile. The interior was just as impressive. Wood paneling, classic analog instruments, plush seats, and excellent insulation. This cab was built for comfort on long hauls. From coast to coast, the 359 was a regular sight in the golden era of trucking. And before long, it became a favorite in movies, commercials, and music videos. Not because it tried, but because it was just that iconic. So why haven't modern trucks surpassed the 359? Simple. Because no other truck has ever combined style, performance, mechanical simplicity, and charisma quite like it. New trucks may be more efficient, but many veteran drivers say they've lost their soul in the process. With the 359, you weren't just operating a vehicle, you were part of the machine. You felt every shift, every hill, every curve. It demanded skill, but it rewarded you with pride. You didn't just drive it, you wore it like a badge of honor. And here's the wild part. The 359 is still one of the most restored and customized trucks in the world. There are people who spend over $100,000 bringing these classics back to pristine condition. That kind of dedication proves one thing. This truck is still unmatched. Now get ready. The next machine is the very symbol of American toughness. Mack B61. When you talk about toughness in trucking, there's one name that immediately commands respect. The Mack B61. Launched in 1953, the B61 wasn't just another truck. It was a declaration of strength. Anyone who saw one working knew that this machine didn't quit easily. Typically powered by Mack inline-six engines around 11L and pumping out about 250 horsepower, it had the torque and drivetrain to pull just about anything. Mashed with a double-clutch manual gearbox, the B61 was a mechanical workhorse that demanded skill and gave back performance. The leaf spring suspension was rock solid. The reinforced chassis and rugged rear axles made this thing feel more like a tank than a truck. It wasn't just built to haul, it was built to survive. Visually, the B61 was unmistakable. That rounded hood, tall grille, prominent headlights, and of course the famous chrome bulldog mounted on the hood. It wasn't just a truck, it was a brand symbol, a legacy still alive in Mack trucks today. The B61 was used for everything: cement hauling, container, transport, fuel delivery, logging, and even military applications. And here's the kicker. Many of these trucks ran hundreds of thousands of miles with the original engine and frame still intact. Compared to today's rigs, sure, modern trucks are more comfortable, more aerodynamic, more connected, but very few offer the mechanical longevity the B61 did. Some models are still running after 60+ years without ever needing a major rebuild or frame repair. That's not nostalgia, that's engineering done right. And more than that, the B61 earned respect not just from drivers, but from the road itself. It had presence, grit, and a reputation that no amount of digital wizardry could fake. People still say the B61 is the truck that taught the others how it's done. And honestly, even decades later, no one has truly built its successor. But now it's time. The truck sitting at number 1 isn't just a legend, it's the king. Ford LTL 9000. Launched in the late 1970s, the Ford LTL 9000 was Ford's bold step into the heavy-duty truck game, and it didn't take long for it to earn the title of King of the Road. With its massive hood, clean design, and towering stance, the LTL 9000 wasn't just another big rig. It was a declaration of dominance. Just one look, and you knew this machine meant business. Under the hood, absolute monsters. Most came equipped with Caterpillar 15L or Cummins big cam inline 6 engines delivering over 500 horsepower and mountains of torque enough to haul just about anything across any terrain. The air ride suspension gave it a surprisingly smooth ride, even under heavy loads. And the extended sleeper cab felt more like a rolling bedroom, complete with a bed storage and some of the best sound insulation of its era. The LTL 9000 became a favorite of owner-operators, big fleets, and truck lovers alike. It hauled grain fuel containers, farming equipment, and even oversized industrial loads. Wherever strength was needed, the LTL 9000 showed up ready. Now here's the big question. Why hasn't any modern truck truly surpassed it? Because the LTL 9000 delivered the perfect balance of brute strength, reliability, driver comfort, and mechanical simplicity. Today's trucks might be lighter and more connected, but they're also more fragile, more dependent on electronics, and far more expensive to maintain. The LTL 9000, simple enough to fix on the shoulder of a highway, tough enough to run 20 years without cracking open the engine. And yes, there are documented cases of LTL 9000s racking up over 1 million miles on the original powertrain. But beyond performance, what really set it apart was presence. Modern trucks might all start to look the same, but the LTL you could spot it a mile away. It was a truck for drivers who took trucking seriously, who saw their rig as a partner, not just a tool. And that's why, despite all the advancements in technology, nothing has dethroned the LTL 9000. Because it wasn't just a machine, it was a legend. So after this journey down the highway of history, it's pretty clear why these classic trucks still reign supreme. They weren't just vehicles. They were battle-tested tools rolling homes and, most importantly, lifelong partners. Today, technology has brought more comfort, efficiency, and convenience. But these old-school rigs still outperform the modern ones in one area that money can't buy: legacy and soul. Now tell us down in the comments, which one of these classics stole your heart? Which model brings back memories of your childhood, your career, or your family? Let's share some stories from driver to driver. And hey, if you love this kind of content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, because every week we're bringing you the most incredible machines to ever hit the road, the snow, the desert, and beyond. See you in the next video.